Be quiet. Hello, and welcome to another exciting episode of the Pondcast. What episode is this? 62? Should I believe it?
62.
We get our numbers messed up all the time. Don't just because the graphic says it's episode 62.
Well, I'm reading.
You can't trust everything you say. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it's 62, but I think there's some stuff that's missing per se, from technical difficulties.
We have had our share of technical difficulties, and we are working through those. Thank you, Kevin, for bringing them up already. Very admirable of you. Yep, we're working on that. So if you're sitting here thinking, my goodness, this is the last chance I'm giving these jokers before I just start watching Reptile and Chill and nothing else, then we really hope that this works. We really do. But thank you for joining us. I'm here. I'm Anthony, and I'm here with everyone's favorite turtle personality, Christopher P. Leone. Patrick?
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
You know
okay.
that.
Christopher. I forgot for a second. Christopher Patrick Leone, and everyone's favorite Diamondback Terrapin guru, Kevin Denise Minton.
Denise. Kevin Denise Minto, KDM.
Oh my gosh, that is too good. That is too good. We've got a good show for you. You'll notice that we don't have a guest tonight, and we've done that on purpose. We're working through some of the technical difficulties and things like that. My wife just wrote me the funniest note ever that I can't say on the air because it's completely grossly inappropriate. It's my nickname that I call Chris when we're down at his place.
Yeah, don't say that.
Too good. And the viewers are like, what the hell are you talking about? Okay. So we have a good show. We don't have a guest because we want to work through some of these technical struggles we've had, but it's going to be all reptiles, all turtles, all the time, and we hope that it's something that you find as entertaining as I'm sure that we really will. So let's jump right into it. Let's talk first about the 800-pound gorilla in the room, and I'm not talking about me, although you may think that I'm the 800-pound gorilla in the room. I'm only 400 pounds. So. COVID-19, which has taken over our lives, and I find it really interesting. Like, COVID is a huge deal. This is the biggest thing in our lifetime, at least so far. Hopefully, it'll remain the biggest thing as we hopefully continue to live our lifetime after this. Not to be too dramatic, but things are getting crazy. So, one of the things that really sticks out to me, and we want to keep this brief, the COVID-19 part, right? Like it's all people are getting in their news feeds. It's all people are getting in their conversations with loved ones and people that they see, in passing, or if you're still working, that sort of thing. So we want to try to keep it brief. But one thing that I thought we'd be remiss not to bring up is the fact that this started in a wildlife market in China, allegedly, most likely, right? And when you're a turtle person, that means something, okay? When I do educational talks, I'm always showing slides, especially because I specialize in Asian turtles. I'm always showing slides of the wildlife markets in China and in Southeast Asia, and particularly China, and how that has affected the conservation status of a number of different taxa, mainly Asian turtles, and then now our American turtles, for instance, are being vacuumed up by poachers and illegally shipped overseas. These are things we've talked about many, many times. So now here we are, and this is now in the living room of every person in the world. People that didn't even know that this sort of thing happened or what it looked like. These are things that we're looking at all the time. So I think that it's really interesting, and it's something that we should have at least touched on. But. Mm-hmm. Before we get into that necessarily, how are you guys doing? I mean, is this something that has affected you on a personal level yet in terms of what you're able to do?
No, we've been really fortunate. We here, at least, New Jersey is, I think, number 2 right now for the amount of, I don't know, for the amount of cases. I don't know what's going on with the deaths or anything like that, but we are one of the worst states, I think, in terms of at least the number of cases, which I think people still have to understand. It's because we're doing testing now, so we're going to see that climb, of course, in the testing. we've been trying to stay off the news feeds, trying to stay off the news, really only to, if something we really need to hear, So overall, we're staying sane, we're staying healthy, we're staying safe, and the people that we do know that have it or have gotten it have, thank God, they're making recoveries, full recoveries. So we're just kind of staying put, taking care of the animals, building enclosures, getting ready for the season, because that's coming no matter what happens.
Mm-hmm.
And it's we're just kind of riding this thing out and being safe.
It's all you can do, right? So, and that's, I think, is the most important takeaway. We are not experts on COVID-19 at all. Okay, we're just animal people who have an interest in what's happening. We're turtle people who have an interest in what's happening in China, because that's the market that sets the global market for the turtle trade. And as we said, that's historically what's led to the downward slide in a lot of species from a conservation standpoint and population status standpoint. So it's something that interests us a lot, but we are in no way experts or pretend to know what's going on.
No.
As a matter of fact, I'm trying to avoid information right now just because I need things that are going to cheer me up in life. So that's, I want to see pictures of turtles. I don't want to see,
absolutely.
I had,
if you saw the post that I made not too long ago, I basically vowed, that's it. I'm taking a break from posting things from at least my personal pages, or if I do, it's going to have absolutely nothing to do with this, And I would even shout out people, give yourself a pat on the back for not posting about it. You know what I mean? Because you're right. People, we need to be uplifted right now. Okay. And sure, there hasn't been a lot of good news per se, with the big picture here, but there are some takeaways from it that, we're hearing here and there. And some of the things are, when you do hear of somebody that's doing okay, that may have contracted it or not, and it's, I think it's great. When you and I were talking the other day on the phone, this kind of stuff that has nothing to do with it is stuff that we need in our lives right now. And that's what we're doing for our kids. We're taking them hiking every single day. There's even in the rain, we've been going, and going to different wildlife refuges and stuff, and teaching them things, stuff that they're not going to learn by staring at the TV, So it's
that's a thing.
To the people that are picking themselves up and getting out maybe into nature, but being safe. You can't ignore this thing. You can't just go running around and shaking hands and high-fiving people and not caring about this. You know what I mean? Yeah. Regardless of what you believe in, you need to be safer than sorry here. So
right, absolutely.
I think that's positivity. No matter what the situation, and that's hard for me to admit sometimes, because I can, depending on what I'm upset about, I can be pretty negative or heated about things. You guys know that, and I just people just need positivity right now, because it does exist. Okay, it's out there. Find it.
I realized today how negative I was being. I had a conversation with my wife in the morning, and then a conversation with a couple of my colleagues at work. And they had, and just in talking with them, everyone kind of noticed a difference in me, and totally just pessimism. That I'm the type of person that struggled. I always wanted kids, and then when it came time to actually make that decision, I struggled with the thought of actually taking that step, because I'm a turtle person. I used to be a hopeless optimist. I used to call myself, and my good friends used to jokingly call me, because I would always see things on the bright side, and I don't anymore. And now at this point in time, it's really difficult to take a step back and keep things in perspective.
Yeah. Now, are you finding that you're not finding stuff on the bright side because of what's going on, or just overall in life in the past couple of years or whatnot? It's slowly.
It's a combination. It's both. Yeah. It's both. So when I was looking at ready to take this, my oldest daughter's 5, and she's incredible. My 3-year-old is my best friend and little helper, and she comes downstairs and helps me with the turtles and everything, and they are incredible. But when it came time to actually take that step and become a father, I struggled with it. The world is overpopulated, and that has a bit large effect. And nothing against anyone who does have kids or a lot of kids, good for you. But I just felt for me, it was the older I got and the more woke I became, to steal a Gen Z term, then the more I kind of hesitated about that sort of thing, and I've become more of a pessimist as I've grown, and it's really unfortunate. Like, I'm a person who I grew up on welfare. Like, my childhood was not necessarily a good situation. I remember like the cops pulling us over and taking our car and getting Christmas presents from the food bank, like all of that sort of stuff. So like, I should look at my life right now. Like, I own my home. I have a really great job that I love. I have a wife that adores me and kids that are wonderful. Like, I should look at everything and say, wow, I can't believe how absolutely lucky I am in everything that I have. But the more that I learn and the more that I study, and particularly being a turtle person, teaches me to be quite pessimistic. And not to take a negative viewpoint on this, I'm really just learning now how detrimental an effect it's having on me and my own psyche, and how it's time for me to kind of remember where I came from and appreciate the fact that I am where I am and I worked hard to get there. And although the world could be a much better place, like, it is a very good place, and there's still a lot to be excited about and a lot to be grateful for.
I think, touching on that, negativity, no matter what, tends to infiltrate a lot. And a lot of it has to do with the fact that, as we're getting older, responsibilities they're so paramount. You know what I mean? No matter where you turn, you're responsible for something. You're responsible for lives. I have 2 girls also, and I struggled with certain decisions too, especially when it came time to have another one, and I had a really tough time adjusting to my second daughter, but now she's here, and it's funny. It's as cliche as it sounds. You can't imagine her not being here,
Mm-hmm.
And with the turtle thing, with the turtle thing, it's not all that different than the COVID situation in terms of news, because think about a lot of news that's constantly coming out from all these conservation entities across the world. Everything about turtles is negative. This one's endangered. That one's endangered. And then you've got certain aspects or certain people in the hobby that cling on to that word endangered or threatened or dying out or possibly going extinct. And they forget that's not a compliment. We're not complimenting the animal by saying it's screwed. You know what I mean? It's a status, and it sometimes creates further negativity on the situation, depending on who's getting their hands on them, what their intentions are behind it. Some of the worst things in the world have been done with the best intentions. Who said that? And it's a matter of filtering through the negativity and bringing the positivity to light again, because there's so many positive things going on with turtles too, and a lot of it has to do with the same organizations that are sharing so much, negativity behind it.
Mm-hmm. They want to cast like a light, saying, like, this is an issue clearly, but unless it's pressed upon like the good things that are being done also, it doesn't get picked up as much, and people just see the negative side of it, the downside of it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, okay. So I think I've talked about this on the podcast before, but that's the idea. So there's an idea in like social science and evolution of the tiger and the water hole. Like thousands of years ago, when humans were evolved. I'm saying it quick because I believe I've talked about this on the podcast before. But thousands of years ago, Kevin, does this ring a bell?
Not yet.
All right, good. So that's good then. So when humans were evolving, you needed to, in order to get to the water hole, what you needed to survive, you really had to keep the tiger in mind. Because if you weren't able to do that, then you were going to go to the water hole and you were going to get your ass eaten, right? So it was very important that you were able to focus on that negative stressor, that existential crisis or threat that was always there. You had to focus on it. And the people who did were more likely to survive. So they were more likely to then pass their genes on to the next generation. So the tiger, of course, is just it's an example, it's a symbol of the human condition and what it was like tens, hundreds of thousands of years ago to develop as a human. Now, fast forward to today, when those threats are usually social media and the bee in the cubicle next to you who keeps giving you the stink eye, and you find yourself focusing on that stuff, and we're drawn to it. And that's why Amber Boydston, a social scientist from UC Davis. Her research shows that for every one negative experience that you have, you need 6 equally weighted positive experiences to overcome that. So,
that makes perfect sense.
Right.
To me.
And it's also why when something good happens, you go up and you're feeling really good, but then you come down quicker. And when something negative happens, you stay down. Mm-hmm. And when you come back up, you don't come all the way back up.
Yeah.
Because we're wired to focus on that. So just something interesting to keep in mind as we're trying to navigate this new, exciting and frightening world that we're living in right now, where a trip to Walmart is like, feeling like
risky.
You're in a zombie movie. Yeah, it is risky. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So we can move on from that now. The quote that you shared, Chris, that was Shia LaBeouf. Mm-hmm. I'm kidding. That was Dr. Malcolm from Jurassic Park.
Ian Malcolm. That's right.
Okay, can you say the quote again?
Some of the best things. What does he say? Some of the best things imaginable have been done. Some of the worst things imaginable have been done with the best intentions.
Right. Mm-hmm. Love it.
We got somebody.
Go ahead.
Somebody from the chat got that. Jeremy Thompson got it. Stephen Gallo said Dr. Grant in Jurassic Park 3. I don't know if that's the same character.
That was Jurassic Park 1, though, wasn't it?
Wait a minute. No, he's right. It is. It's Alan Grant said it in JP3, right? What am I?
JP3.
JP3.
Some of the. Yes, it's right.
This is why we need our fact checkers. Thank you,
Chris. Do you have a JP3 movie poster hanging up in your house?
Mm-mm. But you know what we'll do one day? One of these podcasts will broadcast from my walk-in closet. And It is filled to the wall with Jurassic Park toys.
Nerd alert.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
I remember when I had my first beer.
Hey. So we got a really good question from the chat here, also from Jeremy. It's primarily for Chris, but we're allowed to answer as well. How much do you rely on grocery items to feed your colonies? How much do you grow? How much do you collect? What does this look like in the winter?
So, first things first. Every year, my lawn guys ask me if I want them to take care of my lawn, and I said, "You cut my lawn, you get the leaves out, and you don't touch it." Oh, but you have so many weeds. Yes, I do.
Yeah, yes, I do.
2 acres of ribwort, Mediterranean plantain, vetches, dandelion, cat's ear, thistles, the whole thing. It really helps. And a lot of that stuff still continues to grow in the winter here because our winters are fairly mild. And, late winter, we get a lot of purple dead nettle, which is great. This stuff just grows like unbelievably. So that helps. We get a produce delivery every Monday. They are still delivering to us even during, these uncertain times.
That's cool.
And the delivery guy comes every Monday. He came today. He leaves it on the doorstep. We don't shake hands. We don't do anything. He drops it. He leaves. I quickly bring the stuff to the animals. Disperse it. Wash the hands. Throw the wood, crate out there to be burned later in a fire. And what else? I order a lot of bulk Missouri, so I have that. I'm about to try a new tortoise food by a company called Lagarde. I think they're called Lagarde. They were contacting some bigger Instagram accounts, reptile accounts, and asking if we would try their. So they sent me out a big bag of that, which I'm gonna do a shout out and make a video for them. I'm getting off track. Anyway, I don't know the exact percentage of what I really heavily rely on weeds, especially for the pseudospecies, radiated. Mickey or Aldabra, he'll try to keep friggin' fences. His pen's so big now, but it's I don't use that much produce. It's one delivery every Monday, and that's it.
That's great. So that's a good segue. It's not a good segue. We're going to talk about next time. It's stop talking about COVID. So we'd be remiss. It would be a disservice to all of our adoring fans. I hate the word fans. I had to say it because that's what Joe Exotic would call the people who watch the podcast.
We'll call them our critics.
So we would be doing a disservice to all of our fans if we did not bring up the Tiger King. It's the most popular anything in America right now besides COVID-19. So it's only right that we start with COVID, and then number two is Tiger King, because it is the second most popular thing going right now to American human beings.
Mm-hmm.
So the crazy thing about this is, and we've had James Liu on in the past, and we partner a lot with the Turtle Conservancy on things, and the Tiger King was created by, well, he's one of the directors, but if you're actually watching the documentary, he's the one behind the camera. He's the one doing the interviews all the time, not necessarily behind the camera, but he's there the entire time. When people like Mike McCarthy are upset about how things went, they're calling out Eric. Like, Eric was really the mastermind behind the whole thing, and you could see that. And this is a turtle guy who created the most important movie show anything in America. And I still can't wrap my head around. It's absolutely amazing.
It's insane. You know what's
crazy show, right?
Crazy show. Let me tell you what's funny about this is interesting. One of my closest friends lives down in Myrtle Beach, and he in earlier years when he first moved down there, because he's from up here. We went to high school together. He moved down there. He got married, bought a house, has a kid, and the one time we were down there, I think it may have been for his wedding. I don't really remember what this was, but he was showing us photos of himself and his wife to be. I think it's what it was. And they were taking pictures with tiger cubs. And we're like, where did you do that? Now, my wife, Casey, as some of you might know, she's an ex-zookeeper at two different zoos. So she's had to deal with a lot of this. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do this. This is bad. That's bad. Zoos are bad. Zoos are great. This guy sucks. That guy doesn't suck. The whole thing, And she was like, where did you take these? And he's like, there's this nut job over here that has a tiger zoo, and he could take pictures with his cubs. And Casey's a very respectful person, but she was like trying to tell me later on behind the scenes, she's like, that's really bad. What's going on at this place? And here we are. Fast forward several years, and we're watching Tiger King on Netflix, and we're like, oh my god, that's him. That's the nut job that so-and-so took the pictures of. It's Doc Antle
it was Doc Antle.
He's crazy.
Yeah. I should have connected the dots because you said Myrtle Beach.
I'm sorry. And then just the other day, my friend and I, we've been checking up on each other, making sure everybody's healthy and everybody's good. And he's like, dude, have you watched? And I cut him right off. I was like, Tiger King? And he's like, Shaw. And we just kept talking about it. And I'm like, dude, that's the place that you had the pictures taken years ago. He's like, I can't believe I did that still. And then like we had heard like that Doc Antle apparently got arrested or raided just this past December or something. And my friend's like, I don't know, man. I was driving by the other day, and that son of a bitch is out in the lake with his elephant right now. He can see him. So, just riding his elephant with his ponytail.
You just put a video of him bringing like a chimp into Chipotle to order food. Have you guys see that?
Oh, nice. Okay.
He ordered like three of the same meal. Like he's like, oh yeah, he wants guacamole and cheese. Like, why are you giving the chimp cheese?
Yeah.
Wow. Is that bad?
I don't know.
I assume it's bad. I don't know. I've never taken care of a chimp.
I would think you would just try not to introduce stuff that's processed that we know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Is that real ice?
And ice. I ran out of water.
Those look like the fake ice cubes that they use in like commercial shoots.
No.
Those are legit ice cubes.
It's funny though, like how this stuff works out, and how like we knew of what is Doc Antle's place called again? Whatever it is. Here's this guy that we subconsciously basically knew of because we friend of ours took photos of tiger cubs, and then here we are at night, watching the show, and it's like, oh my gosh, so the show and the people in the show are addicting, to watch.
It's interesting. I was on Facebook last night. A handful of people I used to work with in the veterinary field. We're talking about. They were all kind of saying, I really don't want to watch it. Basically, the sentiment across the entire group of folks. I don't want to watch it because I don't want to support that type of behavior. And my rebuttal to that, of course, I had to speak up because I've got an opinion, and I actually try not to do that because I couldn't help on this. And it was my response was basically, I think it does the opposite. I think Eric is out to expose folks who do unorthodox things and do things in a really weird way that the mainstream or your average person would think is outlandish. And so I think that there's people that watch it, and a lot of people like Joe Exotic because we like an underdog. He's a hot mess. Everyone would agree with that, but people like him because he's likable. Carol's got her stuff together a little more, but she's just not likable. And I won't do that with anyone. But that's basically the situation there. Besides that, everyone walks away from that thinking that exotic animal people are crazy, and with good reason. I mean, you watch that and it's a complete mess. So my question to you fellers, is what do you think about this causing some trouble for zoos in general? Because these are technically zoos. And then also for breeders as well, because according to your average person, what we do is crazy. Chris, do you have any idea how many animals you have?
Oh, well, when you're breeding them, the number's changing. So
you don't have to answer it.
No, I don't. You're right. I don't. But
it's a lot.
It's a lot.
I've got 200 and I have nothing compared to what you have.
Well, you have to remember certain things. You were here to witness over 100 animals being dumped on us in one shot, and that's because of authorities.
Sure.
So some of the, this exposing the bad, and taking the good down with it per se. People like me who are doing a little bit of everything here. Some of these animals that are getting confiscated from the people doing the wrong things with them we're getting saddled with them, so it's that's also has something to do with why there's so many here sometimes. Yes, I would still have a very big, impressive collection, but that drives the number up, and then that number comes way down because so many of those animals were compromised already. But the thing with zoos, Casey dealt with that immediately before we had even watched it. Her best friends had a text chat going on with each other, and they started talking about this this show, Tiger King. We were like, what? We have no idea what's going on here with this. And her one friend was like, Casey, how does this make you feel about, I forgot exactly how she worded it, about zoos like Turtleback Zoo and Popcorn Park Zoo, which are zoos that we are directly affiliated with, some of which she was employed at. And it immediately, puts up that defense there that it's like, whoa, time out here for a minute. Like we're not talking about the same thing, and we had to go on to, I mean, it wasn't a heated conversation because it was friends that really wanted to know what she thought. And so it turned into more of an educational thing than anything else. And thank God that it did, that she was there to educate them, to say, hey, look, time out. Wait a minute here. You bringing up like places like John Bergman and Popcorn Park Zoo. Everything in that man's zoo is a rescue. People forget that. They just see the animal in barricades and blah, blah. Those animals, every single one of those animals, everything, the lions, the tigers, and the bears, oh my, every single one of them is a rescue. Turtleback Zoo, an AZA accredited facility. Okay. They're doing good things by these animals. And that's where a show like Tiger King starts to create a dangerous blanket. Okay.
Right.
Because, and it goes back to what you were saying, like people that, think we're crazy. You know what I mean? Like they don't know exactly what we're doing, that they're being told to think one way by the most powerful tool out there, social media, television.
Sure. And and it's the lack of knowledge. So the animal rights folks,
Or having a field.
but they are, and rightfully so, right? Like if I'm an animal rights person, I'm sitting there and I'm like, man, this is ridiculous, and this is exactly what I've been talking about. And when I talk, when I was conversing with those folks that I mentioned on Facebook, I started to talk about the big cat people and the chimpanzee people and the crocodilian people and the reticulated python people, and I saw myself, and I think I added a little comment there about, like, just as a disclaimer, I don't know what I'm talking about right now. I can tell you about snake people versus turtle people a little bit. I like to think turtle people, for the most part, are a little more like LL Bean, and snake people are a little more Slipknot T-shirt. But this is generalizations, and I hate generalizations. I got a D in sociology in college just because I couldn't do it.
We're a little more Backstreet Boys. They're a little more metal.
I don't know. We're a little more bluegrass. I don't know. We're a little more. I don't even know what. But nobody gets into turtles because they think they're going to be seen as being cool. And I think a lot of people into lizards and snakes think that it's cool.
I should get out of turtles?
because you're not cool?
My plan was to be cool. That's why I started this.
No, it's not working.
No. Don't start a band. That doesn't work either.
It's not working. So I don't know necessarily if my point is being made, but even us, right? We are private breeders of exotic animals, and that's our life. That's every minute that I have to myself, or that I could sneak away to sit on the toilet with my pants up and act like I'm going to the bathroom, but I'm really not. Is spent doing things for or about turtles. That's it. Yeah, that's it. It's all turtles. So my life is exotic animals. But even with that being said, I don't really know what's happening with big cat people. Tiger King gives me a little bit of an idea, but it's 3 people. It's 3 operations. You know what I mean? So that's the issue, is that there's people that do it we talk about it all the time just in turtles too, and we see that. There's people that do it the right way. There's people that do it the wrong way. And there's everything in between. There's people that do both. And being able to figure out kind of where the line is and who to support and that sort of thing. But we have to understand, the animal rights people, even the PETA people, a lot of them, like you said, have good intentions. They want a world that's good for animals. And I think that we have to understand that something like Tiger King is really important for us, and probably in a negative way. And by us, I mean exotic animal keepers in general.
Well, it's like what I meant by that dangerous blanket term.
Yeah.
You start to punish the good with the bad, and when you start taking down the good with the bad, you are leaving an extremely bleak future for the animals. Okay, and it's going to be a lot easier for people on the hobby end of it to agree with that kind of statement than some of the conservation people. But it goes back to like the conversations that you and I have had how many times. The sides have got to figure out a way to join.
Sure.
Or we've got a real mess on our hands in the future. You can't remove one and just leave one side of it, and that's the problem. Like, Tiger King is great TV. I was glued to it. I'm a consumer. There you go. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally.
But walking away from it now, taking a break from the amazing memes that have been created and stuff, it's like that's scary. I've had a couple people that in the hobby, even in the zoo world, that have texted me personally saying, "What's your take on this? What do you think? What do you think's going to happen?" So I don't think anything's going to happen right now, but who knows? Are we going to have, look at the book you and I were talking, that book Stolen World that I couldn't put down. Is there going to be a Stolen Pet series? Yeah. Is there going to be an Aldabra King later starring Kevin Minto? And
I think that's what's interesting.
And then I'm going to be down here and I'm going to be like Chris Antle with Mickey the Aldabra saying, "No, come take pictures with my Aldabra." And Minto's going to be like, "But no, come take pictures with my Aldabras. They're cuter." And then you can be like Anthony Baskin and be like, "Neither of you should have Aldabras."
That's what it would be. That's what it would be.
And then like maybe you feed your wife to your Aldabras. I don't know.
I've been there.
It would make for good TV.
Anthony's already told me no Aldabras, so I can say, like, I didn't listen to him. This is all on me now,
Yeah.
And of course, I don't think they're going to eat my wife, but my daughter is a cannibal. So I can put them together, see who wins. We can do
I
some
thought it
like
was
backyard
a-
Aldabra baby fight. You know?
I don't listen. You've been quiet the whole show, and now you're going to come out with that nonsense. Take it easy, man. You're getting cannibalism and your poor young daughter. Take it easy, man.
She's crazy.
Get it together.
I think the last time I had a black eye because of her.
I love being mean to. Does anyone ever listen to ESPN radio? I don't think so. Steve probably does, who's in the background right now. But the Dan Levitard show, he's like the host of the show, and he's a complete jerk to everyone on the show. And he was explaining it one day. He's like, "This is your chance. I'm going to give you a hard time, and I want you to come back." Like it's, and he was explaining it, and I'm like, "Oh my gosh." Either he really gets me and I really am onto something, or I'm just looking for a reason to excuse me for being a jerk. I'm not really sure. But we'll see. We'll see if Chris ends up buying breast enhancement surgery for everyone in his neighborhood soon with his turtle endeavors. Take pictures with baby Western Herman's tortoises, and
it could happen. It could,
it can happen.
I mean, I could think of other things to spend my money on. The money I don't have.
He's going to start putting out ads for interns, and the next thing you know, he's going to have a bunch of wives and husbands. It's going to be awesome.
Putting them up in different houses.
It's going to be terrific.
Yeah.
So now we'd like to move over to, and one of the really cool things that we have going on with this show, because we don't have a guest, is we're workshopping some new features. So one of the things you may notice from the Pondcast is that there's not always a lot of structure. It's not our strong suit. I like to think that we're pretty good with the banter and the back and forth and that sort of thing. And I think we have some really, really great guests on. Over the years, we've had some tremendous guests, and at important times, I think we've done a really good job with that. But we want to try to figure out a way to bring you a show that's more clean cut, more organized, and makes a little more sense. So, and as far as that goes, so we've got 3 features that we're going to workshop for, and that's going to bring us out to the end of the show. We're not getting close to the end of the show yet. We're about halfway there, but we got 3 features to go. And the first one is a quick one, but one that we're really excited about.
Minto's mailbag.
At least I think he does.
Yeah, it's playing right now.
It played? How did I know it was supposed to play?
It played. I'm watching it. So
thanks, guys. Thanks a lot. Thanks for telling me.
Minto's mailbag.
Minto's
that was the first Minto's mailbag. If you guys missed it, you'll see it next month. Also, we do have a form for you guys to fill that out at any time. If you have questions for us to answer each month, we can do that there as well. But the one question I have right now, and it ties back into what we were talking about with Tiger King, was do you think the reptile industry might be the next focus of the documentary? And one thing that was already said in there, that I guess it was supposed to start off in the reptile industry, but when Mark pulled up with that snow leopard in his car, it shifted focus real quick.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So I don't know if you guys know anything else about it. I was not aware.
I don't know anything further than that, but I do know that. I mean, it says it right in. That's how the documentary starts. It's with Tom Crutchfield. They're looking at snakes, and then then there was a snow leopard and 100-degree heat and a van that was hot and all that type of stuff, which Mark was very upset about, and he made a bunch of posts on social media.
Yeah, I saw that. I want to. That whole scene just triggered a memory of mine that I wanted to bring up, and it goes with this question about could the reptile industry be the next highlight or whatever. Eric says while I was in Florida, and he uses the word investigating a reptile dealer. Okay. Which was Tom. He was with Tom. He was at his place, whatever they were doing, whatever. The word investigating is a broad term. Okay. You guys could come to my house tomorrow and we could go investigate the Blandings turtle enclosure just because we want to investigate the Blandings turtles.
That's not social distancing.
Okay. Let's fast forward 12 months from now. Okay. When we're allowed when we're allowed to pat each other's asses again.
I missed that so much.
Good game. But okay, you got me off my train of thought. Okay, what I'm saying is the word investigating, right? Now, we all know that can mean anything. We're investigating the situation. Are they eating well? Where are the nests being laid? How's everybody's health looking? Whatever. But a lot of people think investigating, whoa, what did he do? Especially people that may not know Tom, and those people that already do, what was he investigating? What was he investigating? That term was kind of left. It was said and it was moved on from. Those are the kind of terms that I think are too broad and have a dark side to them or a dark element to them that can lead to something else. Okay, so the reptile industry already gets a ton of heat. Okay, we've got, just as many people, if not more people, doing stupid stuff every single day. Smuggling this, breaking that law, Lacey Act this, Lacey Act that. So I don't know how to put it up against other animal networks. I don't know. I'm a little bit familiar with the Exotic Bird Network because of Casey's connections. But that, I feel like that's kind of already been hammered down pretty well. Most bird stuff going on, at least in the United States, is rescue. So comparing it to other exotic animal networks, I'm not sure, but I definitely could see the reptile industry becoming the next highlight. And I think terms like that being said on such a big popular show open the door for people to at least assume that it might be coming,
Of course. I absolutely think that could be something that's coming. So if you ever get interviewed, just remember, anything you say or do can be used against you, or
I'm not
can
ready.
be used however someone wants to.
I need to grow out a ponytail first and get a weird earring. And, I'm not ready.
You got way too many teeth.
Yeah, Mickey's got to get bigger. How am I going to ride Mickey in a river yet? You know what I mean?
That's true.
Mickey's got to get way bigger, and I gotta. I definitely. I mean, I'm not a thin guy, but I got to put on some weight too for TV.
That's
dude.
true.
We can strap Cece on there.
Hey, you leave her out of it. She's a saint.
Oh.
Kevin's getting dark today. I don't know. He keeps bringing the kids
Nah,
into
man.
it.
Nah,
It makes me
I'm good.
uncomfortable.
I'm good. You know what's funny?
Go
I actually
ahead,
want to
please,
talk to
tell
Chris
us.
about this.
Funny
This is your
ha-ha,
feature.
or funny ha-ha, or funny.
We're gonna find out.
That was too soon.
No, I don't know. I have some pictures I'll send you. My youngest daughter, Penny, she has like a striking resemblance to Cece when she was younger. Like they both look very, very similar. I don't know if you noticed that.
Oh, does she make this face a lot?
Yeah, it's spot on. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But I always tell my wife, I'm like, what's going on here?
Yeah. Have you been hanging out with Chris?
I know New
man,
Jersey's
that's
a
not good
4-hour
social
drive,
distance.
but
Yeah.
Social distance.
Yeah.
Oh,
Hey,
this
you
is
better be careful. Pretty soon they're going to start saying, hey, don't watch podcasts. It might come through the airwaves or something.
yeah.
That's true. That's why we got to
So-
record as much as we can while we can.
While we're on this, and we've been speaking about tigers, what's up with the jumping species?
Yeah, that's a really good point.
Again,
Yeah.
what else now? What else got it now? Oh!
Yeah.
I thought there was something from.
So yeah, so it originated with animals, and it was thought like there was some sort of mutation or something that would cause it to jump from animal to human, like all that sort of thing. So then when it came out with the tiger, everyone's like, "Oh my gosh, this is bad. This changes everything." And I'm like, but it's a zoonotic disease. Like,
Yeah.
how does it change everything that much? And again, I'm no expert, so that was my own thought. But it's it's crazy and it's interesting, and I'm happy that they tested the tiger with all of the lack of availability for tests for people. And I don't mean that sarcastically. I mean that it's good because it gives us knowledge. And
Yeah.
I was tested, actually. I had flu-like symptoms about 3 weeks ago. I got tested. It turned out to be influenza A, but my work wouldn't let me back until I got tested. So I had to get tested. And because I have a pre-existing condition of asthma, they tested me and already had the symptoms and had traveled to New York and all that sort of stuff. So pretty wild stuff. But anywho, that was Minto's mailbag. And
No, we got more questions.
Oh, I was
Do you
going to
want to
say.
keep going?
Yeah, I got another one.
Before we
This
go,
is from,
Kev, hold on.
Yeah.
Before we go, I just want to let people know, because I didn't give the disclaimer. So this is an opportunity we always go to Kevin with questions, you know this, but now we want to give him an actual devoted time during the show that we can do that. And, actually have the little ditty that apparently we can't see, but you can, and I didn't hear, so I'll have to watch it back to see if it was cool.
It wasn't.
No? I like
I
the
made
first
it.
one where we did the little at the end.
That's
Minto's
on there.
Mailbag. It is? Okay.
That's on there. Yeah,
Good.
yeah,
That
absolutely.
was my favorite part. Good. I wanted to make
Yeah.
sure. All right, so you have another
so-
question. Let's do it.
Well, yeah, but first off, thank you for giving me a platform. I appreciate that.
You deserve it.
It's been like 2.5 years now. Finally get to talk.
Yeah, you deserve it. You've earned it.
So the question comes from Greg from Greg's Turtle Haven, who's going to be a guest on the show within the next couple months.
Awesome.
The
What's up,
question-
Greg?
The question is, with continuing recent busts of turtle smuggling, ornate box turtles recently, for example, how do you think the turtle trade compares with the rest of the reptile trade when it comes to smuggling?
Oh, that's a good question. I think turtles have really, really gotten the spotlight over the last few years, and again, we are focused on turtles and everything to do with turtles, so we may be just noticing that more because we make it in our faces. But I definitely feel that turtles are taking on more of the brunt because we are learning, that they can't sustain any take, regardless of the species. Now, if you read books like Stolen World, and which it goes back to, I mean, there's accounts all the way from, I think she goes as far back as 1960 something, and then the book ends in the early 2000s. The extent of that book is lizards and snakes, and just a little bit, on plowshare tortoises, which is a given, So I think it's kind of shifted. I think it used to be more other reptiles, and now, not that they're being forgotten, we still hear of I'm on the venomous snake response team for New Jersey Fish and Wildlife. And one of the first things that they taught us when they trained us was how to recognize if someone's doing something that they're not supposed to be doing. And we're supposed to, the venomous snake response team is solely for the safe removal and release of timber rattlesnakes and copperheads. But we are trained to obviously be familiar with all the state snakes, particularly the state threatened northern pine snake. And some of the reasons, without going too in depth with it, is because of what people come to New Jersey just for a lot of our other flora and fauna to poach it. And the pine snakes are one of them. So they're not being ignored, but I definitely feel as though turtle smuggling and turtle poaching is in the spotlight. I don't know if you guys agree with me. It seems to really be the headliner there,
It's tough to rank them. I would have to sit down and really think about it, interview people, and it's like on sports radio and talk about like, okay, who's the greatest quarterback of all time?
Yeah.
Who's the best basketball player of all time? Who's the Mount Rushmore for the Chicago Bulls? I don't really know.
Mm-hmm.
I can do it based on what I think. But actually, being able to come up with a definitive answer for something like that is really difficult. So
yeah, and again, I think we're inundated with turtle stuff. We choose to stay focused on turtle stuff, so we're going to recognize that more. I could tell you in the state of New Jersey, everything is protected here. You can't take anything. I think you can still harvest snapping turtles during certain months, but that's it. But they are like the diamondback terrapin, and we know this because we work with the state with our project, is a focal species now. Like everybody's really honing in on the situation concerning the diamondback terrapins. So that's just New Jersey. I don't know what other states are doing, but that's something that's really being focused on.
Okay.
At least here.
Right. Yeah, so I mean, it's a really good question, Greg. I'd love to hear your thoughts when we have you on as a guest. I think anything I offer is just an opinion. So, great. We're going to move on, but Kevin, now that we have the discussion open, when you see good questions, pop in there, and if it's related to what we're talking about, especially, then let's bring them up. I hit my microphone. You can hear that. So the next new feature that we want to workshop and drop on you guys today is called Peek and Pit, and that's something that my family and I like to do every night when we eat dinner together. We still try to do that, like nuclear family, and sit down, eat dinner, and talk about the best part of your day and the worst part of your day, the peak and the pit. But for this, I think with our monthly platform and the fact that we're all aspiring or very successful in Chris's situation, turtle breeders, then we can look at things that we're doing well, that are going well for us. We've accomplished this since the last show. I'm really excited about that. This sort of thing is going well. And then also, this is something that, for some reason, no matter what I do, is not going well. And the main reason for the latter portion of that, and the reason why I like this as a feature, is because on social media, you see this all the time. You see the positive, the positive, the positive. This is something that I've actually heard as a negative about Chris before. that Chris is always showing all this cool stuff, but we never see the failures.
Well, it's just because I've dealt with my fair share of, comments. But.
Well, I had somebody call you like a phony piece of crap the other day. It was awesome.
Oh, well, we know who did that, but I love that he says that about me. I love it.
You think you know. You don't know. It was several people. I'm just kidding. It wasn't several people. I was just kidding. So let's talk. It was definitely Kevin. Kevin is obviously very opinionated and negative. Everyone can see that.
Yes.
I'm the most optimistic person, serious.
Come on, Kevin. You're always talking. Quiet. Just kidding. He's not talking. That's why it's funny, right? Don't go. Don't go. I love you.
Aw.
Just kidding. I'm like an abusive boyfriend. I need you, but I need
you
to
are.
abuse
You're
you so
like
you don't leave.
You are like an abusive boyfriend, and you just keep going back.
I can't leave. You know,
right.
It's that bear in front of me. I don't know what to do.
It's the hat. Woof.
It's the hat.
Woof.
A lot of people don't like this hat. It angers them just the sight of it.
Is that a hat from the show The Office?
You send a wolf. No, that was like WUPHF or something.
I don't know.
Anywho, so I'll start things off just because it's the feature is my idea, and I think I can see that Steve has my stuff queued up. So let's start with the positive, and then we'll go into the negative. How's that sound? So I have to spend a ton of time, but Steve, are you showing these now, or you will? Is that how that works? Is that them? Okay. So one thing that I'm doing well is raising young turtles, and specifically like terrestrial turtles, like box turtles or terrestrial turtles, like leaf turtles and things like that. I keep them pretty aquatically. They grow super well. They go pretty fast to the point where like you need to actually slow them down over the winter after their first growing season because they grow so fast. So that's one thing that I think I do really well, and I'm pretty excited about. So I keep them. I wrote an article for the Batager last fall, on keeping these turtles in snake racks, which is how I keep them. Which I think is, I haven't been getting a lot of negative feedback from that, but I expected more than I'm getting. I'm sure there's people out there who are silently saying, "What the heck is this guy doing?" But I think the results speak for themselves. I'm not just showing off those pictures and saying like, "Oh, look how good." But it's really across the board. It's a lot more species than the photos show. Those are just giving a little taste of kind of what's going well with box turtles that I've raised from hatchlings. All those species in the photos were Cora, Asian box turtles. You had Cora Barrett's box turtle. Those are the flowerback ones that were shown. You had Integrade Chinese box turtles, Cora flavomarginata, and then also a keeled box turtle that was trying to kill me that we hatched this year that is growing like crazy. It's only a few months old. I don't know, it's like 5 months old probably 5 months old. And it's like 70 grams and it's trying to kill me every time I go near it. So it's going really well and I really like it. So yeah. So that's my something going well, my peak.
Do you want to elaborate on some of the points that behind the method as to why you think they're working so well? Just
absolutely.
So people have something to take away from it,
That's a great point, and thank you. And I know you're someone that was influential in the way that I started keeping them because I would see how you would keep young box turtles that you'd hatch, and they do really well when they're in really super damp, wet enclosures. They don't need a lot of light. The light is not as important as diet. Mm-hmm. Humidity, and most important is stress level. That's the most important. So when you see people, I found a box turtle, I'm going to keep it, or I bought a box turtle, I'm going to keep it, and people say, well, UVB is the most important thing you need to set up. No, I would argue that till the day I die, UVB is not important for a hatchling box turtle. You can argue how important it is for an adult, fine, but do not argue with me that it's important for a hatchling, because if you look at scientific research studies on box turtles and species like them, they are almost always devoid of hatchling data. So when we're talking about wood turtles, all the North American box turtles, Asian box turtles of the genus Cora, we're talking about Blanding's turtles, actinemes, the Western pond turtles, all of these turtles are missing hatchling data. These are not like sliders and painted turtles that sit on a log, even as hatchlings. They don't do it. They hide in the muck where it's 100% humidity and is cooler, and where they can find invertebrates, and they're not getting any UVB.
That's an excellent point.
Yeah, so that's, I mean, and anytime you're trying to keep something, you have to kind of detach yourself from the ways that things are normally kept and think about all the different factors, the things you can provide, and what is this animal actually getting as part of its natural history, and how do I provide what's most important? And some of it's trial and error too. I mean, I've had young box turtles and kept them too dry, and seen things not go well. And I talk to people all the time. My box turtle's not growing. Like, I bet you if I had it sitting in a tub with water and sphagnum moss, it would be growing really quickly. So it's something that's worked for me. Believe me, I have many things that don't, but I'm very excited about how things are going with that. And usually people who come to visit me and see my setup are also very excited about that. So, yeah.
That's great. It's great.
Yeah, it's cool.
So what's not working?
Oh, am I going to do both now? Are you ready for that, Steve?
How did you want to do that?
I was thinking everyone give their positive, then everyone give their negative. Okay, Steve's ready for either. He's a gangster. He doesn't care. Whatever. No big deal.
I
Whatever.
want to see you get knocked down a peg now.
Okay, good. That makes sense because I was saying something that's good. Okay.
You're
So
on
one
your
thing-
so now we're
Okay.
gonna.
That's not the right picture though, Steve. I see it up. That's the Iversoni. That's. So for this would be the photos I provided, Anamensis and Reeves, I think. Yeah, so that group, there was 3 of them, I think. So yeah, so here's an Anamensis. So basically, what I'm doing really poorly is I acquired quite a few animals in the last year. There were some things that came up that were like opportunities, and thought like I really need to try to jump on this stuff and not let them go by. And I acquired a lot of animals, a lot of adult animals, a lot of older animals, and a lot of pond turtles from most of them from the genus Meremes. So things like Quang Tung river turtles, Vietnamese pond turtles. I've had Reeves turtles, that sort of thing. So as I'm working with them and now with relatively sizable groups, nothing completely outlandish, but they beat the crap out of each other. So you expect to set up a group and you think, okay, medium waterland tub should be large enough. Let me get 1.2 in there. Let me maybe get 2.3 in there. See how things go. And I find myself giving males a timeout where basically I'm taking them, putting them in a tub on the side for a day or two, then putting them back in, and I have to watch them. I have to put them back in when I'm around so I can keep checking in because they're literally trying to kill the females. So, you have turtles with bites on their feet and on their neck and things like that. And part of that is just part of breeding, but it's really not, it's really not a cool thing to have to deal with. So I think, a lot can be said about like acquiring animals, setting them up the right way. And then, they're a little bit larger than I feel comfortable with, but I think I can make it work. And I've got waterland tubs and those work really well for breeding. And this is going to be great. And then you get the animals and you realize it's not exactly what you anticipated. And you have a little more fighting than you anticipated, that sort of thing. So that's kind of what I'm dealing with right now. And it's frustrating. And maybe it's just new to me with these species, but I think it's just it is what it is, and you try to do the best you can, and that's what I'm doing. So it's not that I was necessarily surprised, but for it to be happening across the board, you have to question, like, all right, is this something I'm doing wrong? There's a picture of the Japanese Reeves turtles, the black Reeves turtles, that I think are really cool, that nobody else thinks are really cool. Except Chris.
I love those things. That's right.
They're incredible, man. They're like my favorite.
They're such cool turtles. They're so underrated, and
amazing personalities, and but they beat each other up too. So there's 2.3 Reeves, Japanese Reeves, but there's a third male, but he can't be with anyone, and he's gorgeous. He's a huge male. He's like legit 6 inches, which is crazy for a male Reeves turtle, and jet black, and perfect tail with no nips on it. This is a turtle who's probably 30, 40 years old, who's been in captivity for a really long time. So, yeah. So who do we go to next? Chris?
If you want.
Yeah, we can do that. I see.
I think
Steve.
Chris. Let me go next because Chris's stuff is a lot nicer than my stuff. I
Oh,
did the last one.
Sounds good, Kev. Sounds good. Way to have confidence. Really appreciate your self-confidence there.
Hey, it's not that. I know where it is. You know, I know what's going on.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So you're gonna go, Kev?
Yeah, I'll go. Yeah, if that's all right with you, sir.
Go for it, man.
All right. So what's going really well is, especially now with quarantine, I'm home a lot more than I am usually from work. So I am finding a lot more time to build out the enclosures, to fix things, getting ready for the spring, to bring stuff outside, to get everybody back heated up and acclimated, ready for breeding season. I'm very happy with myself that I'm able to get that done now earlier than I have to wait till, like, say, May, early June when I have some time. I've been building out outside enclosures for the box turtles, the redfoots, things like that. And these are all existing enclosures that I've just kind of been upgrading on. What's not going great, and that is starting to change really well, is I haven't done a lot of video work. You guys haven't seen a lot of videos come out from the turtle room as of recently. I've mostly been on the Pondcast each month, and I haven't had a lot of stuff out. Specifically in 2019, I had a new child, and it just kind of took up all of my time. I really didn't find any free time to do stuff. But over the next couple of weeks, I have 3 different videos I'm working on, and you'll start seeing a more steady stream of them. I was outside today, 60-degree day in Connecticut. Beautiful out. I was in shorts. I'm still in shorts. I'm very happy. So that's what wasn't going well, but is turning around for what's good for next month.
You answered it like a job interview. Like,
You did. You really
what's
did.
your biggest weakness? Well, I care too much. Okay, that's the problem. It's like I take my work home with me.
I will fight this company.
Oh, I will follow you blindly. That's my biggest weakness.
I make sure you don't fire me ever, because I'll fire you.
I'm not making videos, but I'm making 3 videos. So
I haven't been making videos. I am now currently working on 3 different ones. And that's where that is. So
classic. How much time do we have for Chris? He's even more long-winded than I am. What happened?
Wow, that was quick, Kev.
yeah. I'm I'm on this show solely to do Minton's mailbag and just to be a punching bag for Anthony. So
We if you ever need a pep talk, I'll talk you through it.
sorry, I just cry when I hang up.
It's okay. I'll cry.
Okay, so one thing that I'm been doing well, and I think I'm getting better at, is creating really naturalistic, very large enclosures. I'm kind of over the years, again, I have a big collection, obviously, but over the years I've been opting for not being so much concerned with how many of the animals I have, but how much space I can give them. And one of the things that I take away from it is, which I try to teach people, is, they'll say to me, that enclosure is beautiful, but how do you find all the turtles? Like, do you see all the turtles all the time? And my answer is no. And to me, that's how I know it's working.
Mm-hmm.
Sure, it's a challenge when you got to find somebody that you haven't seen in a while. But I have, since I was a little kid, nature has just been my model. And when you look in these books, or you get to go to some of these habitats, and just in the ponds and lakes that we grew up catching frogs and painted turtles in, I just always wanted to capture that somehow. And that's just become my thing, my motto. Nature is a model, and I beat myself up just trying to make these turtles look, and it's also for my own pleasure too. I'd be lying if I said it wasn't, because I want to get that feeling when I see them, every day. I want to almost feel as though they look like they're in their habitat, and you can never really fully create nature, because you're not nature, but you can study and just work at it. And it's something I've been working at since I was very young. Even at my parents' house, even though my parents would fight me on taking up the yard with turtle pens, when they were done, they would be like, wow, that's really cool. That's really beautiful. And I think I've to an extent mastered it, and I really try to put specific elements in the different species wild habitats into the pens. Whether it's a certain type of plant or just the way the water looks or the way the water flows,
I like this. Building the habitats, obviously, they speak for themselves. They're absolutely gorgeous. It is 100% the best thing you have going. It is what you are best at. And I think the coolest part is the Spike Lee angles that you're able to get. Like these photos, because they look better in the pictures than they even are in person, and they're impressive in person. But I mean, just to see the photos go through, it's like, oh my gosh.
Well, that's all. That's all thanks to Casey. She taught me how to use a camera early on. She taught, the angles, and it's funny. It's like everything is pretty much just taken with the iPhone, and I'll stand there and I'll look at the pen, and I'll be like, oh man, this looks awesome right now. I got to get a picture of it, and then I'm like, I'll take the picture, and I'm like, no, it's not. So then I'm like standing up on the fence, or I'm like standing up on like, something in the yard to try to get that angle, because the objective behind it is so that you could really see what is going on in there. It's but yeah, there's a lot to the photography behind it too.
It looks like a whole spread of like better turtle keeping.
And
magazine.
Since I'm a phony, let's not forget, because I'm a phony. Sometimes I will try to crop the fencing out of it. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like there's certain images, and it's just like, even for my website, like sometimes I get down on like eye level with the animal, and I try to just move the phone or crop it so that you don't even see the fence, but that's just photography. It's fun. It's nerdy, I
actually learned that from you.
This last photo that's up right now is a pond that I just finished, which doesn't look as good as the others yet, because the maturity is what really brings these enclosures together. This is the new spotted turtle pond, and you can see the water is still cloudy and stuff like that. But the maturity will come in, and I just love it. That's my favorite part of the whole thing. I'd rather have less turtles and just way more enclosure. That's just, I love it. I get a big kick out of it.
It shows.
Chris, I have a question for you on this spotted pond specifically right here. A project like that, how much time, how much of the resources are you buying, or how much are you getting from like driving down the preserves and just grabbing like logs, things like that? Are you building this yourself? Is Casey helping you, or like, what's the total end time? Does it take you a week? Are you doing this in an afternoon?
So this actually brings me to my failure, which I'll say in a second. It totally depends on the enclosure. The main enclosure in the front of the property, which is the wood turtle, North American wood turtle, Blanding's turtle enclosure, it has been evolving for the last 3 years, and so it's hard to tell by those photos. I don't even know how big that enclosure is now. I have to actually measure it, but it is like, it's massive. You could definitely ride a go-kart in it at this point. And it's 5 different bodies of water in there. One being the stream that empties into the main basin. Steve and Anthony helped me dig the Stillwater Pond area, and I just kept adding to it and breaking down walls and expanding over the years. So you got to look for the turtles now. It's pretty cool. Like the Western painted turtles that are in there will all congregate on logs, and you'll see a wood over here and maybe a Blandings in the distance. So that something that big and elaborate took me 3 years, and I'm probably not done with it. I'll probably do something this year to it, maybe next year. That new spotted turtle pond, if you look at it, there's an older body of water that I finished last year, and then this new body of water, which is the bigger, deeper, larger part, I did it in one day. It was one of my bad days with COVID-19, where I was just, the news was getting to me. So I took a shovel and started spading the ground and took my anger out on the ground and got the pond done in one day. But this segues into my failure. My failure here, because I choose to go this route with these big naturalistic enclosures, is I am not saving money. I'm not saving money at all. And it shows. It hurts us at times. And it's hard for me to talk about exact dollar amounts, because each pen is different, but But an enclosure like that with the wood and 2 different pond liners, I had to buy a lot of the plants because it's illegal for me to go to a refuge and take the plants out of there. You know, if I see something on the side of the road that I can legally grab, I will, but I can't go into the refuge. I can't even take driftwood from the refuge. I go into the woods, or, you know, if I see a really good piece, I'm going to jump out and get it. And if somebody wants to slap me on the wrist for taking a dead log, then so be it. But, you know, that stuff obviously saves me money, but, you know, plants are not cheap. The liners are not cheap. So I would say just that spotted turtle enclosure alone, I'm well over. I'm probably I've got to be at $2,000 just for that one spotted turtle enclosure, and that's one of multiple ponds. It's a smaller enclosure. Even my tortoise enclosures that don't have ponds in them, the cold frames and greenhouses that I use in each tortoise pen, they're 8 by 2 feet. Each one was $250. So you think about how many different tortoise groups I have, how many different testudo groups alone that I have. It's definitely not cost effective, in that aspect. That wood turtle enclosure in the front, I don't even know. I've got to be well over $10,000 with that enclosure at this point. It's nuts.
And is that what you're not doing well?
That's what I consider not doing well. I wanted to pick something that goes hand in hand. Yeah. I wanted to pick something that goes hand in hand with that particular success. Is that, you are seeing these big, beautiful enclosures that I am very proud of, and there's no joke behind it. You come here and see them. You guys have been here, but there's a big downfall to it, and it's the fact that it is that costly. The 6,000 gallon per hour pump that does the wood turtle stream 24/7. Look what that's doing to my electric bill.
Sure.
So it's there's a catch to it. I will go this route as long as it's feasible for me, as long as it can, even though sometimes it hurts. But we love our property. We love being able to go out every single morning and just see what it would be like to just walk into, a version of their natural habitat in the morning.
Sure. So you answered it just like Kevin did, with a positive. It's like, I'm doing really well with these habitats, and my struggle is that I just keep wanting to make more habitats.
I'm broke.
I love it.
I can't eat.
All right. Moving on with the Dave Chappelle. I think that was Dave Chappelle.
Yeah.
Impersonation. Yeah, sure. We're going to jump right into our last new feature of the show. We're going to end with this. And we're going to go real quick, rapid fire. So this is the point in the show where Pat Sajak would give the wheel a final spin. Okay?
Spin the wheel.
That? You guys get that? Wheel of Fortune reference? Okay, terrific. Thank you very much. Thanks. Where were we on that one, Kevin? Taking a sip of water. Jeez Louise.
It's pineapple pomelo.
Oh.
Are you a big seltzer fan? Because we have a problem with seltzer.
This is a good time to go off on a tangent about seltzer.
Yeah, I'm
absolutely.
Right before the final spin. Yeah.
Like that would have been gone 10 minutes ago, and I'd be like, bring me another one.
Good idea.
10 for 10, man. 10 of these for $10.
Your straw is not long enough. That's what she said.
So
regardless of
I
how
actually dropped the straw in there and I can't get it out.
Regardless of how expensive your turtle enclosures are, there's always money for seltzer water.
Oh, never money for straws that are long enough. That's what you get. You shouldn't be using straws. You're a turtle person. Stop using straws.
No single-use plastic.
This is plastic. It's hard plastic. It's reusable. And I used it for my daughter, and she dropped it in. And now I can't get it out.
Oh, my gosh. He's blaming the kids again.
Dude, Veda backwashes. What am I supposed to do,
All right, here we go. Moving on to our last final new feature. This is called the Best Species Spotlight. And we're gonna do this every show, unless we have a big time guest who's long-winded, like Chris and I are both long-winded. We need to get more Mintos on this show so we can have enough airtime for everyone to get their point in. So we want to basically highlight, we'll basically ask a question: what is the best species for blank? What is the species that's most likely to blank? I don't know, whatever. And we answer the question and bring something to you. So it gives us a chance, the three of us, to highlight 3 different species every show. And maybe there's something that we bring up that you haven't heard about. Maybe there's something that you love that you feel nobody else loves, and you want to hear us highlight those species. And don't bother sending us your thoughts about what species they should be, because we won't listen anyway. But it's just these are just thoughts just on whatever the random question is. If you have a question, like like what would be the best species to keep on a budget? What would be the best species to keep towards conservation as a private hobbyist? That sort of thing, we can start to tackle those things. But the first one we're doing tonight is the coolest taxa that's also a lesser known taxa, if that makes sense. So maybe not everyone knows what it is, or we think that it doesn't get enough credit or praise or love from the turtle loving community. So we want to bring you those species, what we think they are. So it looks like Steve already has mine up there ready to go. So go ahead, Steve, start showing that bad boy off. So that is a female Meremys pritchardi, which you're saying, Anthony, what the heck is that? I haven't heard of that. Or Anthony, what's the matter with you? That's not even a species. You are correct. So here's what we're going to do. Rapid fire, 30 seconds to talk about it. Ready? Does anyone have a timer?
Nope.
I'll get it going for you.
I got Kevin's got the timer. Good job, Kevin.
And go.
So Meremys iversoni is a naturally occurring hybrid of the Reeves turtle and the yellow pond turtle. And they were first thought to be their own species. They were described, I believe, in 1991 as a species by McCord and Iverson, I think off the top of my head, but they're actually a hybrid. They're named after Peter Pritchard, and this turtle is awesome. That's all I'm going to say. And there's not really many of them. This is an original, imported Pritchardi from when they were thought to be a species, which is really cool. But it's a great turtle.
38 seconds.
All right, that wasn't that bad. I thought you were going to stop me.
Okay.
Okay, so we were going to spend more time on this, but it's getting late. So Kevin's got to wash his straw collection. So we gotta get going here.
Lots of straws in my collection.
Okay, Kevin, you're going second, buddy. Let us know.
I think Chris is up next. He's got.
I'm up next. Oh wait, no, Kevin
Steve can do anything. Anything you can do, Steve can do better.
Kevin, go.
Steve, do you have the other picture? Actually,
Steve
one of the
can do anything better than you. Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain.
It's a group of like 4 animals.
Can people hear Steve or just us?
Just us.
Okay, so we need to keep talking and not just listen to him because that gets really awkward. Pay no attention to the imaginary friend behind the curtain.
All right, I'll just do that one. That's fine. That
I'm gonna count. I'll count for you. Ready? Are you timing yourself?
I got it.
Okay,
I got it.
fine. Wow.
Yeah. As soon as are we up on screen? Here we go.
You can beat 38, pal.
All right, guys. So this is the 3-toed box turtle, Terrapene Carolina triungus. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but I live up in Connecticut, and I can't keep eastern box turtles, so this is the next best thing for me. Very, very similar needs. It can brumate year round here. I mean, in the winter it goes down. I have a fairly large group. They are gorgeous if you just look at them. This is an animal I've had for 3 years now. It just keeps popping back up. It won't stop. I can't get rid of it. And I love them, and they're very, very cost effective if you want to have box turtles. Great animals. We can talk more later.
That was good.
How many
36 seconds.
36 seconds. Wow.
You sounded like an auctioneer. It got awkward.
Right.
I mumble a lot, so.
There's no way Chris can do this. Chris can be 38 minutes.
I just hope my wire fighting team is ready. Okay.
All right, Mike Myers.
Tell me when.
And go.
This is the northern red-bellied turtle, Pseudemys rubiventris. Blah, 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 blah. This is a turtle that is highly misled and misunderstood by the hobby, and the reason is because they're not considered to be that colorful right off the bat, but as hatchlings, they're beautifully green with bright red plastrons. They keep those plastrons as they get older, and they might even have some red on the carapace. They're very large, however, they're easy to take care of, especially if you live in a cold climate, and they even do well down south. So next time you're thinking of a turtle to look into, give the northern red belly a try.
Dude, 23 seconds.
Boom!
Oh my gosh. I'm so excited right now. I can't scream. My kids are sleeping.
At the beginning, but I also want to say,
I don't know what to do with my hands.
No.
It's like tigers.
Wow, that was good, man.
That was good. 29 seconds for real?
Okay, Chris wins. Chris, especially because it's you. Look at, dude, you nailed that.
Nailed it. Wow.
Wow. That was incredible. And so now when you get your federal stimulus check, Chris wins. Chris wins. You're going out and you're buying northern red-bellied cooters, turtles.
Yeah, there you go.
Pseudemys rubiventris.
Yeah, that's where I think I started getting a little tongue twisted, and then I think I
You
said,
nailed it.
I think
You
I said
sound
misled. Who's misleading them? You know,
you sounded like a commercial. It was terrific.
I had to get into the
Across from the Cineplex. Yeah. So be there. It was terrific. It was absolutely terrific. That was great.
Cool.
Great species too. That's a species that all three of us have kept.
Yeah.
Because
Hey,
Kevin
I love them.
watched mine while I was moving. So, what do you got?
There
Kev?
is a question. There's a question out here that ties in perfectly with Chris. And actually, Steve, there's a photo that Chris had of two animals. He was holding them out like this. If you could put that on the screen.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So the question is, where to go? How big do rubiventris get? I can't say that right.
Big.
Yeah, there are some monsters. That one, is that on the screen right now or no? Oh, there's the one. Okay. So those were two females that were crossing the road by our house. And the one in my left arm was really huge. I don't remember the exact size of her. I didn't, we just moved them and that was it. The adults that I have are every bit of 14, 15 inches. Anthony, you have a female that I think might be even longer than that. I have a friend, well, I don't talk to him so much anymore. I've lost touch, but who lived in Pennsylvania and he swore up and down that he knew of 21 and 22 inch northern red bellies. I've never seen them that large. They are a very large aquatic turtle, but the plus behind them is that they can be left outside in the coldest, temperatures pretty much. You've got the Plymouth red belly, which is, a geographical variant of rubiventris up in Massachusetts,
Right.
So they're very cold tolerant, which makes it easier to keep them aquatically. I don't bring mine in here, and they stay out. They stay out by you guys. You keep them. But yeah, you're talking about both males and females. They are a large aquatic species. We're not talking about 6 inches for a male. We're talking, right behind the female, 12, 13, 14 inches and bigger.
They're huge. They're absolutely massive.
They're huge and just absolutely gorgeous. The black and the red is something you don't normally associate with a turtle, which is nice. It's cool,
Right. And for the people living up north, they're incredible, as you said.
You want to get rid of some of that pesky pondweed, throw a red belly in.
Right. Throw a group of them. I hibernated mine in a stock tank this year.
There you go.
Well, I had 6 in my house for a little while, right, Anthony? I think 6 or 7.
Mm-hmm.
7, and the amount of water hyacinth that I went through in that 3-week period is just insane. They ate up all my reserves.
Now there's a challenge there. If you keep them in a smaller enclosure, they're going to pretty much decimate your aquatic vegetation. So I have mine in the big pond up front, so they can move from different. That's got 5 bodies of water, so they can alternate. I'm going to go eat here for a little bit, and it stuff lasts a little bit longer. But if I were to have a whole bale of them out there, I'm sure they would just annihilate everything. So that is the one catch. They even though they take pellets and stuff, they are highly herbivorous, so they're going to eat a lot of vegetation. They're going to annihilate it.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So
that's true. Yeah. So there you go. So that was the feature. We all made it within 40 seconds anyway. I was the longest. I'm embarrassed.
This is going to be a race now every time. That was great.
Yeah. Wasn't that fun?
I think we should give ourselves a minute though.
A minute?
Yeah, I think so too. 30 seconds was too fast. Yeah.
Okay.
Chris
People
hit
might
it
not
on the
even
head.
remember what people talked about.
Yeah. But he didn't breathe for 30 seconds. So
he did.
I actually, you know what? I'm lightheaded.
Yeah.
I was gonna say
you can see the rosacea.
Yeah.
You don't look good. You've looked better.
Yeah. Well,
I'm concerned.
I think you're very.
It's because
I think you're very pretty.
I can't go get a haircut, so I got to wear this hat.
Yeah.
Do one of these.
Hey,
Yeah.
I've got a wonderful, luscious weave of hair up here. Okay.
Way to rub it in, Chris. Way to rub it in. I have clear hair.
I got to tame it right now because I could give myself some Liberty spikes at this point. Maybe I'll do it. Maybe I won't.
Prove it next show. And that so it seems like, let us know what you thought about the broadcast. Let us know what you thought about the show. If you have any feedback, anything like that. I feel like we're starting to get this technical side down. Steve is working really hard and he's brilliant, and we're seeing a improvement for sure. Don't know why I couldn't find that word.
Yeah.
And so we're looking at some other things we're trying, and please watch our social media. Obviously, we won't be on. We're not supposed to be on for another month, but we're talking about doing something else with Yun Ro, the turtle monk. I always have trouble pronouncing his name. who came on with us a couple months ago when we really, really were struggling with the technical side of things. And he has the new book, Turtle Planet, that is available for order now from Amazon. The book is absolutely incredible. It's like nothing you've ever read before on turtles, and it's debuting at #1 in reptiles and amphibians, and also in another category that is escaping me right now. But there's a little bit of hype around it. It's a turtle book, so all you turtle nerds go out and get that book. And we're hoping to have him on 2 weeks from today, on Monday again. I'm not sure who will be here with us or representing us, but we're trying to do that as a service to him because it's an exciting time with his book coming out, but also because things didn't really work out last time. So from the technical side, so we're going to try to make that right and get him out right at the peak of COVID-19 and right at the peak of his the excitement around his book release. So that's the plan.
I just wanted to, what you just said right there real quick. I just wanted to add something real quick before we sign off here. To anybody who's listening tonight, thank you for tuning in. Thanks for supporting us still. And please definitely give us your feedback because we want to make this thing as big and as best as we can. But, taking away from like the earlier topics concerning COVID-19 and everything, I hope everybody can seriously find some positivity out there. Shut off the news sometimes. Stop looking at your news feed. Just be with each other. Who it's safe to be with. Your immediate family who's in the house with you and stuff. Try to get outside if you can. And this thing absolutely will pass. It's going to pass. I know that there's a lot of negativity out there, and some folks have been extremely unfortunate in it. But, if you are someone who's fortunate right now and you are safe and you are okay, be happy about that and just try to grasp onto that and take that away from tonight. We didn't want this show to be about COVID-19, and it absolutely wasn't. But we did want to touch on it. And that's just my personal thing is I really hope that everybody just can lay their heads down tonight and just relax a little bit. Just find that positivity in something, even if it's just staring at your turtles for a couple hours, because we all have the time to do that right now.
I love it, Chris. I really, really love it. And I've been struggling a lot because I'm still going to work, and I feel a certain way about that, and putting my family at risk on some level, but at the same time trying to be good because I think the work that I do is important. But I just want to say, you guys right here, and the people watching this podcast and the people texting me all the time and sending me, videos and questions and exciting posts about what they have going on with their collections and their breeding programs and stuff like that. That is my favorite thing. That's just mine. Like, obviously I love my family and all of that, but that is my favorite thing that's just mine. And it's something that I really, really look forward to. And during these tough times, those are the things that get me through it. Actually, I can remember when my father passed away, it was in 2012, I didn't tell Steve on purpose. And Steve, you're still my world, but you were really my world back then. He's still listening, pay no attention to me behind the curtain. But I didn't tell him on purpose for a few days because I was struggling so bad, and all I needed at that time was to talk to Steve about turtles. Like, I didn't want, like everyone else who I knew was like, oh man, I'm so sorry. They knew what happened. And Steve lives in Pennsylvania. And while that's pretty close, like if I didn't tell him what happened, he wasn't going to know. Mm-hmm. So, these are the things that really help us get through. And these end up being the reasons that we really enjoy the hobby and enjoy what we do, is because we can share it with like-minded people who get the weird animal person who wants to do these weird things with every extra cent that they have and every extra ounce of spare time that they have. So thank you guys for being you. Thank you for being in my life. And thank you all out there for being a part of this community that means so much to me and to us. And if you ever need somebody to talk to or whatever, send me a text or message me on Facebook or whatever, because I'd love to talk to you about turtles. So thanks, guys. Appreciate it. I think this was a really good show. And again, we need feedback, so let us know how you think things went. And we look forward to next month and 2 weeks from now as well.
Yeah.
What you got, Kev?
That's right.
So Steve just put out there, we'll say it out loud in case you're not reading the chat.
There we go.
Pondcast at theturtleroom.org.
The Pond.
Is it the Pondcast?
Yeah, it's the...
Okay,
Okay.
Either the Pondcast or Pondcast at thetrivialroom.org. That'll get all your feedback to all four of us. If you have any questions for Minto's mailbag, send it there as well. We'll have a form out online too. We'll have a social media, put that out there. And thanks for joining us. Thank you for being here while Anthony beats me up. And Chris is such a nice, sweet guy. I'm so happy to be friends with him.
I got your back.
And
Thanks.
yeah, you're the best. And
I deserve that.
Steve, thank you for being back there behind the scenes, making everything work for us.
That's right.
This is great.
He's the pretty face and the brains behind this operation at the same time. Love it. Thank you, guys. All right,
Thank you,
Roger.
guys.
All right.
Be
Have a
safe.
good night.
Good night.
Bye.
Deuces.